Hey everyone, welcome back. Icon here. Thanks for checking out another episode of Esports Analysis, and pretty exciting. So today we're hopping on board with PRESTINNI. A little bit different, but I hopped on to see who was streaming, who I could break down, and PRESTINNI is on. So we're going to hop on board with him and the Florida Mutineers. They are playing Enable and the rest of the dudes over at Seattle. So this is a nice little interesting matchup here. I really like watching these two teams scrim, so I'm interested to see what happens. I'm happy that we're on board with PRESTINNI because he plays really fast. He does a lot of the stuff, a lot of the dirty work inside the hills. So from there, we will see what happens. If we're talking a little bit about strategy, I will just kind of go through and point out what's happening on screen at the moment. So if you're Florida, you are pushed back off of this first hill, and that's kind of okay in a way because as it's going here into the second hardpoint, you do want to have this back spawn. So that's a nice kill from PRESTINNI there, but he did end up going down. So if you're Florida, you have to be aware of that. You have to start watching the right side of the map. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to draw this on the mini map in the top right-hand corner. But essentially, this is the area over here that they're watching. So they have to be aware of this right flank just because you saw a couple people go down on that side of the map. It does look like that person either died, got traded out, or pushed back. Not exactly sure exactly what happened. It would be nice if I could be in Codcaster mode so I can see exactly what's happening with all of the arrows. But one thing that you'll notice right there is that PRESTINNI just came off the map, and he's on this right side. So as he came off spawn, he spawned back here. And what that means that Florida is going to be, if they had control of first hill, they're going to be pushing the right side of P2. And now it just flipped again. So now if we're hopping back on board with PRESTINNI again, we're talking about exactly what's happening. PRESTINNI spawned on. Now he's on the right side. So again, a lot of this information you can pick up from where people are spawning. So as soon as PRESTINNI spawned on this right side of the map, that means that the enemy team is spawning on the opposite side. So Hardpoint 2 and Hardpoint 3 are the exact same in this regards, in that whatever side you're spawning on, the enemy is spawning on the opposite side. Now, while we're here, if we're just talking about this second hardpoint, the best way to have this, and I know that we're rotating into the third, but I just want to talk about this second one for a second. The best thing to do is to have this back spawn in the back, and then push up over here to the right and push up over here to the left. Now, if you're pushed out, now you'll get that back spawn, and your enemies will end up spawning mid-map. And that's the way that for that second hardpoint, that's how you really max out the time there, is that if you're able to spawn right behind and push out over to the sides. Now, against a pro team, that's really hard to do, especially because most of the time they just hit one flank really hard, right? So if you're rotating from first to second, then you're going to hit that right flank super hard, and you're going to try to push through, at least be able to contest a little bit. So when that contest happens, that's when the enemy team spawns out on the other side of the map. As we're rotating here to this third hardpoint, it does look like Florida has this back spawn, which is the spawn that you want. Now, I'm going to talk about third hill, I'm going to talk about fourth hill, and I'm going to talk about fifth hill all in one. So you'll see when PRESTINNI comes off spawn, he's spawning right here back at this fifth hill. So for the third hill, this doesn't really matter too much. You'll probably notice that they lost the majority of the time in that third hill, but reason being is because Seattle was pushed up into hill, and then they were pushed up a little bit further. So they were able to kill people in boxes before Florida was able to get into that third hardpoint. So for this fourth hardpoint, now that we've rotated, you do want to have this same back spawn, which is why I grouped the third, the fourth, and the fifth hill all together. You want to continue holding this back spawn. I don't like that they're pushing up so much, because what this is doing is that this is potentially allowing some open spawns to the other side of the map. If you're PRESTINNI and you just went down, hopefully you're spawning back at warehouse, so this is pretty good. So essentially what they're doing here is they're trying to push out over on boulder side over towards woods. So this is one of those hills where, let's just say, for example, PRESTINNI dies and he's going to spawn over here towards coal. If he spawns at coal, then the enemy team is going to spawn over here at woods. And then what happens is that this becomes fairly contested. So if this is contested, the way that you end up winning hill time for the fifth hill is winning the choke points that happen right here in the middle of the map. Because essentially, whoever's going from coal, whoever's spawning coal, is going to try to push that cut. Whoever is spawning woods is also going to try to push that cut. And whoever ends up winning that battle in the middle is the team that's going to end up winning hill time. So the way that you break this, and what you're seeing Florida do it right now, is that you want to have that back spawn, just like in the second hill. So if you're in the second hill, Or whoops, sorry about that. If you're in the 5th hill, then what you want to do is you want to push out into 3rd and you want to push out into woods. If you're pushed out a little bit into those choke points, then now all of a sudden what that's going to do is that's going to force the enemy team to spawn on the other side of the map. So this is a fantastic job right here. I don't like that he gave up those last couple seconds. I know that it doesn't really matter all that much, but it's a little pet peeve of mine that when you run off like 3 seconds earlier, just stay there. Just get those last few seconds because you never know. It seems like at least once a day I'm watching a scrim and it'll be like 248 to 220 or something, and if you just would have stayed on for those last 2 seconds, I know you might be thinking, why am I harping on this? It's just a personal pet peeve of mine. So the first set of rotations, I would say if you're Florida, that's a fairly decent job, right? They were able to hold down all of 5th for the majority of 2nd that was contested, but they did a really nice job in 2 and 5. And if you do a good job on 2 and 5, then you're probably going to end up winning Hardpoint on this map. So as we go ahead, I haven't got to listen to a lot of the team talk here from Florida before, just because PRESTINNI doesn't really scrim all that often. So with that, I'm going to go ahead. Let's get into a listen in just because I want to hear exactly what they're saying. So let's find out a little bit about strategy.
Just play your life in the back and make them push.
I thought I was.
I'm going side door, dead.
One shot.
That was not challenging. Coming up back right with y'all.
Left corner, right corner now.
I'm flashing over you, Preston. Stay down.
Right corner, apathy.
Yo, right corner. I'm nading.
I flashed one hill.
Corner, I think.
That's a nice little flash that he just threw there.
One shot in the back.
Out of ammo.
Absolute Damon. Absolute Damon.
He's very weak in the back.
Damon's one shot to your left, Preston.
Yeah,
I'm trying to cut.
Damon, side door. Two side door. Got one shot. Both weak. Other guys laying down on the door.
I have your side door.
I'm cutting them.
No, pre-fire.
They have to rotate. They should
I'm coming to help
rotate.
you. I'm coming to help you.
That's a nice job recovering there if you're Florida.
Yo, rotate around
They didn't
crates,
have
rotate around
control
crates.
of
Yeah, yeah,
Hardpoint to begin with, but
going
that's a
crates.
really
Block
good
crates
job
spawn. There's 20
recovering.
front, guys.
They were able to get the
All
last
20 front.
25
All 20 front.
seconds
You guys
there.
all cut front.
So that way, as it goes back to
Literally
the other
can't-
side of the map, they still have a pretty considerable lead. Nice job
see
flooding
him
out that
half wall.
second hill and
I don't
being
see
able
him.
to
I
get
don't see him. I
time.
don't
Watching boiler. Watching boiler.
I don't see half wall.
Come on. He's behind us.
I don't know where he went.
They spawn water again, guys.
Yeah, he's
Water
half
tower.
wall.
Yeah, they're behind me. They're behind me front. One's front. Only
I'm in
one
the back,
front.
guys. I'm in the back.
Damon front weak,
Sometimes I think PRESTINNI does a few things that he doesn't have to, like when he just hurled up on top of that side wall before he went around back. If there's somebody out back and you hurl up, you're going to die. I just feel like every once in a while he plays so fast that there are little things that he misses or little things he does where he doesn't necessarily need to. I know I'm just harping, but again, if you try to take those things out, you're probably going to be a little bit more successful.
I'm getting green.
I'm getting a trophy down too.
I am.
For this third hill, they want them to
One
push
front,
out.
slack front, and one jumped over the wall. Nice, Caesar.
One more.
So it looks like they're losing hill time there, but in order to get all of that time, you do have to push out into those chokes. So I know they were pushed back a little bit. That's exactly kind of what was happening right there.
I'm good.
So now if you're PRESTINNI, push out. This is what he's doing right here. So as he pushes out, what that does is that allows anybody that might be pinching from that side.
Have green.
Ian back bathrooms, one shot.
Nice and one boiler. I'm coming boiler.
I stopped shooting, dead. No, I got one. There's another one there side. Top red train. Top red train.
Sounds like his mic's a little bit off. Sounds like it's a couple seconds ahead of what's actually happening on screen also.
Oh,
Push right, yeah, flip it. Behind me, pitching water.
Oh, that nade. Good nade, bro.
Good shit.
On here? Okay, I'm going to get.
One shot, Damon in the back.
I'm picking
Dead.
I have right.
You want top crates? Top crates? Good shots.
I'm throwing a trophy for you, Rest.
One shot. He's top crate still.
All right, so real quick, as I just come back in with you guys just for a moment, I do think that this match is going to end up being decided upon who ends up having control of this fifth hill. So if Florida has this and they're able to go back into the first hill with about a 230 score somewhere around there, then they're probably going to win. But if this gets contested, then it's probably going to go the other way. So this, I think, for this match is going to be the deciding hill. What happens back here, this second set of rotations on this fifth hill?
I got one.
Above you. Yo, they're hitting the back.
Oh, he's front door.
Yeah, I know.
Okay, back door. You want back door? Apathy back door. I died. Apathy under you. Or Octane.
He's half full, bro.
I'm going middle.
So with them spawning out, it does look like if Seattle's able to hold the last 40 seconds there or so, it's going to be a tie ball game going back into the first set of rotations.
I'm pushing up middle.
Green or
I'm looking green still. Green, Damon.
Man, that's
Green dead,
that's
green
such
dead.
a clutch break there.
Yeah, I'm looking
So
for it.
just real quick, I'll show this on the mini map. So I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna turn down these voices for just a second. But if you're Florida, you had control of the 5th hardpoint, right? So as it rotated from the 4th hardpoint, what Seattle did is they had 4, and instead of pushing this choke for this to rotate, they went ahead. They had one person push the choke, and they had 2 people flank around the backside. And then once they got to the backside, they were just patient. And as soon as there's a nice little head glitch, so this little wall right here, you can head glitch on top of this wall, and essentially they just stayed there until they could get people killed. And then as soon as that happened, so as soon as PRESTINNI went down, you saw he spawned over here in Cole. And then by the time they got back, they just couldn't get back through those cuts into that 5th hardpoint. So that is a phenomenal job there of Seattle. That's a really tough one to break right there. So that's a great job. Now, again, this is going to come down to the battle of who can flip spawns. It does look like Florida's spawning out. We'll see when people die where they come up. So when PRESTINNI goes down right here, let's see where he spawns. All right, so he's spawning on the complete opposite side of the map. So if you are Florida, you do want to try to get these last 10 points. You definitely don't want to give up those last 10 points to the enemy team, but it looks like, oh man, this is going to come down to the wire. I think that this next hill here, I think that this second hill will end up being contested. Let's listen in because I want to see as it gets down to crunch time what's happening here.
I need him to track.
Yo, he's in crates with us. Flank us.
They have to all push out. They have to flood one side here.
That's in the right corner.
Nice.
Last note for you guys.
All right, nice.
Oh, two more. Front door and back. There's 3 and there's 3.
We need it.
One side door weak. I should have just fucking stayed there.
See, I think, to me personally, trying to flank around to the left side, I get that he's trying to get the pinch and kill people before they can get into the hill, but right now, you're going to lose if you don't get in the hill. You have to flood together as a team.
Yeah,
There's 20 crates. There's 20 crates now.
Yo, rotate. We can rotate now. We can rotate now.
Yeah, I'm gonna hit this time. You guys go.
Yo, can you get into shipping for me, please?
Yeah,
How many
I'm
on
throwing trophy. I'm throwing trophy.
Nice.
We can.
One shot going.
leaving you,
There's 2 going new. One's A dot.
Wait, I'm
There's 3.
gonna
That could be a big 10 points. So
I'm pinching.
if
Go
Florida
around,
gets the
go around,
last
go around,
6
go around.
seconds here, all they're
Going around
going to
if
need
you
is 5 on
Yo,
rotation.
wait, we can all
Let's
go
see
around.
where the
All go
spawns
around.
are happening. It does look
One
like
green.
Florida's spawning
Second
out.
green,
So as
second green,
PRESTINNI
one
was
shot,
trying to
half up.
rotate there, his teammates were spawning behind him. They're definitely going to be spawning out as it goes back to the opposite side of the 3rd hill.
One hill, dead. Hill dead, guys. One shipping.
Yo, yeah, he's flank us front, far
One more
front.
half wall.
These lockers. We gotta kill lockers. We gotta kill lockers, bro.
Being so annoying. Yeah, lockers.
My guess is that that's going to be all she wrote.
Trying to kill back in.
So whoever that was pushed up into lockers, those are massive kills
Lockers
there.
dead.
He's on the front head.
Essentially what it
Dead.
did is it slowed down
Oh,
Florida's
my
push. Florida wasn't able to push in, and then that's going to be all she wrote. So a fairly contested game. I do think that in terms of respawns, I do think that Florida in all has a little bit of an edge. So that's a heck of a win there from Seattle. If Seattle can just put it all together, they have so much talent and so many big names. I do think as the season wears on, they're going to be quite a team to mess with. Skies in respawn, you don't really ever see him play like that. Karma with 43. Wow, Karma had 80 interactions on that map. He was playing extremely fast. Wow. So a nice competitive battle there for this upload. So if you're new around here, make sure you hit that subscribe button. We are only 4 days away. Four days away from the London event. I cannot wait. I absolutely cannot wait for that event. I'm super excited for it. So if you're new around here, make sure you hit that subscribe button so that you're here for all of those videos. If you have any comments whatsoever, put them down below. I respond to everything. Don't forget to leave a like before you head on your way. And with that, thank you guys so much. I'll see you in the next one. See ya.